thought it was very, very sad.
Yeah. I mean, it's a similar note to Sophia being in the barn, you know, except at this point in the show, it's not really all that shocking. I mean, I didn't know for sure he'd be gone, but I would have been more shocked if he wasn't dead.
Yeah, and I was reading, I don't know if it's in the news or not, but I think there were clues there that more had gone on than we realised, like his legs had been broken and he'd had his throat cut. I was like,
yeah.
oh.
I read that. It is in the news, but I'll read it now. But, well, let me read what you're talking about first. So in an interview with Insider, Callan McAuliffe, who played Alden, they asked him, the last time we saw Alden, he was in pretty bad shape, limping with some deep cuts to the gut, but it turns out he didn't die from those wounds. What you may not have realized while watching Sunday's episode is that it's meant to be implied that some of the Reapers found Alden and he had a standoff with them, something which is not seen on screen. And he says, I got pretty grievously wounded. I like to think that by some miracle, Alden mustered a final burst of energy and managed to, despite some 20 to 30 debilitating and like mortal belly stab wounds, that he managed to take a full strength Reaper out with him. On the day of filming, we had a throat slit prosthetic and both of my legs are broken, which is why I'm crawling. Though I was either dead or near enough to dead when the Reapers stumbled upon me in the church, they saw fit to break both my legs and cut my throat because they decided I hadn't been harmed enough. I don't know if that's clear or not. And I guess that's why the church door is closed, but there's another zombie in there that Maggie kills. That's the Reaper, I guess, that he fought. So that was not at all clear to me watching it the first time. And even when I read this little interview bit and watched it again, I mean, yes, he's crawling, but I didn't notice anything about his throat. It's so dark.
Yeah, it was a very dark shoot, that bit. So yeah, I was like glad of the backstory, but I was like, oh yeah, it didn't super come through, I don't feel.
And it sounds like he's kind of disappointed that it wasn't clearer too, because he wants to have it be known that Alden went out a hero. But I should say, I've been kind of giggling through this, but yeah, I'm sad too. I like that character. I think he's a really good. It was really interesting that he was an ex-savior, but turned out to be a good guy, because I like when you show that these groups have all kinds of different people in them. And he was a really interesting character to me.
I have a written statement from Peter on Alden's death. Rumours of my involvement in Alden's death and my proximity to that church are greatly exaggerated. I will not be answering questions at this difficult time, nor am I being smug, even though that's what Alden would have wanted. Suffice to say, I think that zombie Alden probably retained a memory of some women's shelter or other that he once volunteered at and has carried that smugness into the afterlife.
That's so touching and nice.
It was so touching. Peter. Very, very heartfelt.
Not at all smug.
Yeah. No, not smug at all. Not smug or smarter. It's just, very genuine.
Right. Okay. Anything else? I think I'm out of my main points.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, wait. Gabriel. We didn't talk about
Gabriel. Yeah.
What do you have anything on him?
Oh, no, you go for it, because I know it's one of yours. So.
Well, he continues to wrestle with his faith, and he's confronts this Reaper who's praying for the other Reapers, and he says, these are monsters who slaughter entire towns without provocation, massacre children, and you pray for them. And I'm like, amen, brother. They're the worst. And then he's saying, my role is not to question. I listen and serve, and true faith requires doubt, and I have mine. Violence is not the path I'd take, but blood has been spilt in God's name for centuries. His will is unknown to us. All I can do is trust in him. I mean, that's such, in my opinion, bullshit rationalization. And like, dude, you're a killer right now, and you're saying I wouldn't choose violence, but I can't question anything. I mean, look, this is a really, this subject is like the thing that you don't talk about when you go out on dates, religion or politics. And I definitely don't want to offend anyone. I know religion is important to people. Personally, I'm agnostic, which means I just don't know what's out there. And I also welcome any comments about what I'm about to say. I'm open to learning and discussing. But all that said, I think this can be a problem with faith. Personally, I think faith means accepting something without any evidence, accepting the existence of God and that he's there for you and everything. And when a person decides to let themselves accept things without evidence, and they've gotten used to that idea, then it seems to me that it can be easier to be talked into things that there's no evidence for, or, steered in certain directions, especially if there's this dominant religious leader telling them, if you don't understand it, just have faith. And maybe that's the key. Like the people who are super religious, but they have their own personal interpretations of the scripture and things like that, are better off. But I just see so much people getting steered wrong. And I feel like, yeah, well, when you're just taught to don't even look for reasons for things, just accept it, then it's easier to get steered into something like this. I mean, it's just a fictitious TV show. So, take it all with a grain of salt.
It's one of the more interesting theological debates I've ever seen because, zombies and death and high stakes. And
yeah.
I thought that I was really struck by the sentence, true faith requires doubt. Because I'm like, I'm a person who's like riddled with doubt in like every single thing I do. And in my head, I'm like, well, if I'm doubting my decision, then it was definitely the wrong decision. But then I'm like, maybe having faith in something involves having to get over that doubt or to live with that doubt or to be like, okay, yes, but also you've gone this way or you've decided this thing. So that really impacted me. But I did find this scene I found the priest in a way quite unrealistic in that sense, but I liked some of the things that it brought up in terms of like who hears God, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying there about how it can be used to manipulate people and how the logic is very flawed in many ways.
That's basically what I'm saying, that it, like, I don't want to just say, all religion is bad. I don't want to say that, but it can be used to mislead people for sure.
I think this idea of like God as objective versus subjective, because I think that's where it becomes difficult. God, this got really deep for a Walking Dead cast, but here we are.
This is what is
theology
it's
hour.
About.
Yeah, I think so. Here's what I'll say. I've written in my notes, who can hear God is God subjective, because I think one of the things that you see with Gabriel that's coming across really strongly, and it's much more compelling than I thought, is this idea that he stopped being able to hear God. And I think there's almost a fear for him at the idea that this guy, who he sees as crackpot and on the wrong side, can hear God and is very comfortable with that and very assured with it. So when he's saying to Gabriel, like that moment where he kind of shows him compassion and is like, we can do this together, I can renew your faith. Like, I do think he's being genuine at that point. And Gabriel just says, nah, he doesn't believe that and kills him. That's a big swerve. That plus what we saw with Robert Patrick's character in the Russian roulette episode. Gabriel is just so changed, so utterly changed from the priest that he once was. It's very, very jarring.
He also went in and killed Dante.
Yes.
He's pretty ruthless now. And he said, what the guy said was, no matter what any of us have done, no one is above saving. And he said, I don't believe that. And I think, in one sense, that's pretty rich, coming from a guy who left his whole flock locked outside the church to die. But maybe he just has his line somewhere and somehow he's seen that he's on one side and this guy's on the other. I don't know.
His line is the door of the church because it can close. He can close you out.
But the whole thing about, faith requires doubt. I was trying to really figure that out, because there's a conversation later with Gabriel telling Daryl the same thing. Faith requires doubt. And I think it's the way they're talking about it is it's just because they're in the zombie apocalypse. There's all these horrors happening, and it will naturally make you wonder, okay, wait, how could a God allow all this? How could there be a God if all this is happening? So you say, oh, you're doubting it? Well, faith requires doubt to just make you feel better about having faith. But I really don't think faith necessarily requires doubt. What if you're just like super faithful and you have no doubt? That should be fine too, right? I think there are a lot of people who have that faith and don't doubt it, and you wouldn't say to them, oh, it's not real faith because you don't have any doubt. I think it's more just a way to make people feel better if they are having doubts, but I could be reading that wrong. So again, I welcome any conversation about any of this. Please just let me know if you want to talk about it.
It's a really interesting thought, I think, the role of doubt. Yeah, I think, I don't know, it's just something that I'm living a lot in my life at the moment, is about like the doubt of like, have you made the right decision? Are you in the place where you should be? And kind of accepting that like a decision isn't always, I used to think for a very long time in my life that there was a right and a wrong. Like in every decision there was the right one or the wrong one. But lately I'm starting to think, well, it's more about the life lived and the life not lived. Like, it's not as easy as doing it. I'm not talking about like murdering people and eating them or something like that. I'm talking more about like, I don't know, do you take this job or do you go to this place? Do you start a family? Do you not start a family? Like, these are the kind of things where you start to think like, well, is one the fundamentally right decision and I'm wrong to do it or not to do it? And I think that kind of doubt is the one that I think is quite interesting, because it does force you to kind of think about the decisions you make. I don't know, it's interesting. Sometimes I envy very religious people because they have a guidebook for this stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, I don't know,
Right.
I'll just throw caution to the wind and see what happens. I'll just move to this place and see what goes on. Like, yeah.
And it is interesting how life sometimes can be like, you just make this decision that could be a flip of a coin. Should I go to school here in this town or this town? Or take this job, or, you know, break up with this guy or girl or not. And you go, I'm not sure, I guess I'll try this. And then it impacts the whole rest of your life in a way where it would have been completely different if you'd done the other thing.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
remember going to see a careers counselor about a year and a half ago when we were still in Canada, because I was like, oh, I think I might want to leave the kind of work that I'm doing at the moment. And so I went to see this careers counselor, who was awesome. If you ever are in doubt about what to do with your life, try and see a careers counselor, because it will actually be very, very useful, I found. But I was terrified that I was going to go and they were going to tell me like, oh, you really shouldn't have done your PhD, or you really should have like called it a day at this point. But instead they were like, oh, so we did this survey of like who you answered most like, because that gives us a good sense of like what you would be good at. And they're like, and your best match was translator. And I was like, oh, thank God, that means I made my bad decisions when I was 17 and decided not to do languages at uni, and that's so long ago I don't even give a fuck. So I was just like so liberated by that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was just terrified that someone's going to be like, yeah, if you'd done something different last week, you know, your life would be a lot better. So yeah, being riddled with doubt, I completely understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Being kind of attached to the idea of hearing the voice of God is not something I have experience of, but I'm appreciating the way that they're portraying that with Gabriel, because I think it does worry him, despite the fact that he's a very strong and very decisive character now. To lose that from your life, to lose that compass, must be very harrowing.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, I think, in some of these moments where he's interacting with people who are shocked to hear that or have different experiences.
I mean, he's definitely become a stronger character, but at the same time that his story is about him having doubt about his connection with God, which has been the biggest part of his life, you know, going back who knows how long when. So it's interesting to watch. It is. And I feel it's risky for me to talk about my actual views and maybe piss people off who are going to go give us 1-star reviews. But it's more important to me at this point, or always on this podcast, to just be honest. So anyway, I really hope I didn't piss anybody off, but I hope you appreciate that I'm just being honest.
You're going to cut out all the satanic worship bit, right?
Yeah,
you're not going to leave that
in tongues and all that.
Yeah, good.
Probably
okay, I think that would be off-putting for some people. Yeah, I didn't want to pass judgment on your truth, but I do think that would affect the iTunes reviews.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So, do you have any notes?
We actually touched on all of mine. The campfire scene was interesting with the talk about faith and decisions. Dog's back, which I'm kind of happy about, but I'm a bit pissed off at Dog for sort of, you know, abandoning Daryl a little bit at Meridian, but whatever. They're a dog.
What?
It's fine.
I forget what happened. He just ran off?
He just went and hung out with Leah for ages, and then appeared at the end again when everyone was like, we're going now. I'm like, all right.
I think
Coco,
they probably just didn't know what to do with him in the middle of all that. You know?
There was a load of cutscenes of Dog just like licking his balls and like, yeah, I'm having the best time at Meridian. Coco, the baby, was looking very cute, and it struck me how happy RJ and Judith were to see Uncle Daryl. They don't really have, I mean, Michonne's gone, Rick's gone, Daryl is their parent now.
Yeah,
like,
I think Rosita's
kids,
stepping in there a little bit too, but yeah.
Just such a shame. I'm just like,
it is.
These poor little abandoned kiddies, man. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sort yourselves out, Rashon. Jeez.
I mean, Rick didn't have a choice.
I don't know. He could try harder if you ask me, but sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I still hope that we see Rick by the end of this. And there's a little tidbit in the news that kind of speaks to that, but stay tuned for that. Is that anything else for notes?
No, how about you?
Nope.
The people it kills get up and kill.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
This is a Walking Deadcast news update.
So, Entertainment Weekly talked with Angela Kang. There's quite a bit of stuff this week, by the way, but I just pulled little bits from each one. They asked, when Negan tells Maggie that he's pretty sure she's going to take him out at some point, is he right? Would she take him out? And where's he going? She says, I don't know if he's right. I think that those two have a very complicated relationship, but the thing that he is right about is that Maggie has been in a place where Maggie decides in the moment. Maggie is not a team player right now. She's not at the peak of let's all agree and kumbaya, we're going to go forward. She went rogue, and she did that before when she went to his jail cell and literally could have killed him right there. And so for Negan, he's the smart guy, and he's just doing the math, and all it takes is one more really bad day, and I could be gone. That guy is a survivor. We sort of flipped the scene from the comic where Maggie comes upon Negan, and he is at the grave where he buried Lucille. We sort of copied that iconography, but flipped it since we already played the moment where Maggie had an opportunity to kill Negan. We just thought that was an interesting situation where he could actually kill her there. He sort of has the drop on her. But I think in their own way, they're making peace with each other by saying we should just not occupy the same spheres. And he's taking his destiny in his hand beyond that.
I love the idea that Negan's like, in the back of his head, he's like, I know I'm annoying, and I know that all I have to do is be annoying one day and she's going to shoot me. He's like, she might promise not to shoot me, right, but I know myself, I'm a dickhead, so I'm just going to leave.
I can't help myself. I can't control it, so I just got to go.
Cannot help being a dickhead. Oh, man.
Okay, next. Here's Insider and Norman Reedus. This is I think you're going to like this. They asked, if you weren't a fan of how Daryl and Leah's relationship was handled on The Walking Dead, Norman Reedus agrees with you. Well, they didn't ask that. That's what they said. And then he said, the relationship with Leah was kind of thrown at us during these COVID episodes. That relationship was kind of crammed together in a way that fit with our shooting schedule and storylines for those two people. I've had so many conversations about what kind of boyfriend Daryl would be, and it's gone up and down and back and forth. And I've always said the same thing. I don't think he would jump, not to be crass. I don't think he would jump in the sack that quick. I don't think he has those skills. I felt like that was a little rushed. Maybe if it wasn't in COVID times, we could have explored that in other ways instead of just a timeline written on the bottom of the screen. I would have liked more time there.
Oh, nice one, Norman.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of felt that way too, right?
Yeah, that mirrors kind of what I felt about it. It was just like, okay, we went there and we went there super, super quickly.
So it didn't really feel earned and believable, right? It didn't.
Yeah, it just seemed to come kind of from, especially when they'd been so cautious with Connie.
Yeah.
And so gentle. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next. In the upcoming Walking Dead spin-off anthology style series, Tales of the Walking Dead, that's going to be debuting this summer. We don't know exactly when yet, but there have been some casting announcements. Parker Posey will be in one. Olivia Munn.
Ooh.
Terry Crews.
That's just funny. I don't know why. That's just funny.
Damn zombies.
Terry loves zombies.
Jesse T. Usher, who was A-Train in The Boys. And there's a bunch more, but I haven't heard of any of them. My favorite, though, is Anthony Edwards, who was in ER. Can't wait to see what he does.
Oh, he was great. Was he Dr. Green?
Yes. Yeah.
He had such a sad little ending.
I know. But he's a good actor, and I can't wait to see him. Filming started in January, so last month, and then the show will premiere sometime this summer. And we'll have coverage of it somehow. I'm actually going to Hawaii for 2 weeks this summer and also Europe for 2 more weeks.
Hang on, what? You're coming to Europe?
Yeah, I think we're going to be in France and Switzerland.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited, but also super stressed, just trying to figure out how I'm going to do all the podcasting, but we'll figure something out. Maybe you should think of who you'd like to fill in if you're even going to want to podcast on that show.
And that sounds good. We'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out. But I'm excited about the show. I'm curious. And then let's see. There's a really good article on NME.com called How Angela Kang Resurrected The Walking Dead, the best it's been for years. I'm just going to read a little bit, but I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to read the whole thing. It kind of talked about her history on the show and how she came to be the showrunner and everything. But when they mentioned that The Walking Dead's almost finished filming, she said, when I think about it, I get misty-eyed because the cast is a very tight-knit group. One of the things that's been hardest about the pandemic is that we haven't gotten to spend as much personal time with each other as we usually do. But I know that when we get together to send the show off, there'll be drinking and there will be hugging and there will be crying. And they said, you have to wonder all these seasons in if Angela Kang ever thought that she would still be here at all. No, she says, I came in on the 7th episode of season 2. We all know how TV works. If you're lucky, you get 2 seasons. If you're really lucky, you get 3 or 4 or 5. But 11, I think a lot of that is about the show's appeal. And they're like, what is the appeal? And she says, what I've heard a lot is that people connect to the idea that even when you're struggling, you can find your family and you can work on things together and that you can find connection no matter how horrific the world might be. And as hopeless as things might seem, you can find pockets of hope within that. That's something everyone can connect to. Isn't that great?
I love her. I love her. She's so adorable and I love her.
That's really cool. And it's so fitting for like how things have gone with this podcast and just the Walking Dead family at large, you know, all the fans grouping together and, you know, connecting over the show and everything else. It's cool.
No, I love that.
And last, but definitely not least, there are 2 things I learned. One is that Walking Dead is wrapping up filming. I think they might have just 2 or 3 weeks left, if that. And also, some guy in Atlanta who owns a sushi restaurant posted a picture on Instagram of him and Norman Reedus and Andrew Lincoln, who had just both eaten there. So Andrew Lincoln's in Atlanta as they're wrapping up filming.
I had a little cry at my desk today when I saw that. I was like, they can't. I mean, it has to be, right?
I could totally see him just wanting to come and celebrate the wrap up because he was such a big part of the show with the cast. But I'm hoping they found a way to get Rick back into the story. I don't know. You know, we can't take anything
maybe
for granted.
Someone called child services and said there's 2 abandoned children with Daryl Dixon looking after them. No, I mean, honestly, I was in bits when I saw that. I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just got really emotional and was like, holy shit. Okay. I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so. I'm like getting emotional thinking about it now. I'm like, yeah, I really hope so.
That'd be so cool. I mean, I think there's a decent chance, but you can't take it for granted, you know?
Even like a flipping, I don't know, dream sequence, something, you know?
The only thing I wouldn't like is, like, I'm a big Evil Dead fan, and I like the character of Ash, and we covered Ash vs. Evil Dead. And then when Fede Alvarez did a reboot in 2013, it was all different characters, and Ash wasn't in it. And then it was great, I thought, but it wasn't the same. And then at the very end, after the credits rolled, they just showed Ash, you know, Bruce Campbell saying groovy, and that was it. I'm like, what?
No,
just don't even bother.
No.
Come on.
No, just have Rick going, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Covered in blood. Oh, it would just be really, yeah, I just have feelings.
All right. That is it for the news. Let's move on to listener moans, groans, and grunts. So there's a lot of comments, which we totally love. I'm glad people are engaged, but in the interest of not going on way too long, we won't read them all, but we do read them all on our own time, and we thank everyone, and hope you guys keep writing in.
First up, we've got Brad Holt. I always want to go, Brad Holt! Like in Arrested Development.
That's why I gave you that one.
Brad Holt. Brad Holt says, holy moly, 11 seasons in and this show still has me jumping off my couch and yelling at the screen 1 minute, then crying the next. Amazing premiere. Maggie was absolutely right in her actions. She was channeling Rick for sure.
Ashley Edward Wolf says, a strong opening to the second part of season 11. It was scary and action-packed, and Father Gabriel coming in with a couple moments that made me laugh. I'm really liking him lately. I loved his line, "There's no Jensen here," as he blew Carver's knee out at the perfect time. I'm disappointed Negan has headed out on his own, but I understand his reasoning. Alden, I knew it was going to happen, but I'm still sad. Maggie, wow, I love that she gunned down the remaining Reapers. Hell yes. One last thing. What the hell is happening in that little 6-month flash forward between Daryl the Stormtrooper and Maggie? I can't wait to find out. So good. Heart zombie.
Tammy Barr says, this would have been the perfect episode to end on a few months back. I wish they would have tightened up the Reaper storyline to make it one less episode so that we can wrap that and then move on to the next storyline with the Commonwealth. I think it would have made more sense with the fun time jump at the end. I love how they panned to Maggie in that scene and then it jumped time and place. I really enjoyed the Aaron basement rescue scenes. We haven't gotten too much screen time with him and loved his dad's response to rescue the kids. I let a tear escape when Daryl saw Connie. It was hilarious when the apples just fell over, but so sweet to see that reunion. Overall, this was a tense, jam-packed episode and can't wait to hear you guys discuss it. Tammy, I hope we did not disappoint.
And I totally agree. I think if they wrapped this up in 8 episodes and left us curious and wanting to see what's next versus just hoping to God that the Reaper storyline didn't last too much longer, that would have been a better break for all of us.
I'm with you.
Anthony Ibersena says, I loved it. It really felt like a horror flick. Really enjoyed seeing Maggie have to make the kind of tough decisions that Negan was forced to make. I hope it's not the last we see of him, but I also don't know what other storylines they can give us with him other than Maggie and him. Maybe he'll confront Rick when Rick definitely comes back. My only concern was the ending transition to a time jump. It kind of threw me off a little, but I honestly think the time jump could be taken out of context given the fact that our characters could only look like they're against each other when really they're working together behind the scenes against the Commonwealth. That's interesting. We've seen those kinds of stories unfold before. Other than that, it's probably been one of my favorite episodes this season.
Oh. Gemma Hall, our friend Gemma, says, I thought it was a great episode. The fight scene between Maggie, Negan, Elijah, and Carver. Yes, sorry, I lost my words there. Elijah and Carver was excellent. Real teamwork from Negan. I cheered when Gabe said, there's no Jensen here. Yay for Gabriel! It was a real Carol saves the day moment. I'm sad to see Negan go, but I think he's realised now that Maggie won't hesitate to kill him. I'm also sad about Alden, poor guy. That baby back at Alexandria orphaned again. The Connie and Daryl reunion made me cry, but I wanted more. Like a slow motion run across a field moment. I'm also surprised how quickly the Commonwealth arrived at Alexandria. Aren't we all? Even Gabriel was like, can't I even have 5 minutes peace? So glad it's back. It's like coming home. Oh, I agree, Gemma. Completely.
Yeah, totally. Especially coming back with such a great episode. It's awesome. Pam Patrick says, really good episode. Loved Gabriel on the roof as a sniper, upsetting Leah's plans. Hated seeing Alden's fate, but we kind of knew that, didn't we? Daryl and Connie's reunion was great. Loved it. Eugene coming out from the troopers made me smile too. The final scene was a WTF moment.
Carrie Abel says, poor Alden. As soon as I saw him, I couldn't help but think of Lucy's Peter's distaste for him. What was Peter's reaction to his demise? Inquiring minds want to know. Carrie, I refer you to our earlier statement. We will not be taking further questions at this time.
Danielle Dement Yo says, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm sad about Alden, but suppose there will probably be a lot of death between now and the end. It's not surprising. Yeah, that's true, huh? It's not surprising that that Maggie would keep the Commonwealth at arm's length, and I suspect the flash forward is misleading, so I'm not putting too much stock in it. I'll miss Negan if that's it for him, but I guess his story is pretty much played out. I'm very glad they dispensed with the Reaper storyline and moved things along in the end. Maybe Negan and Leah will end up together living out in the woods somewhere. Also, I feel like I missed something. Who or what killed the walker that had Aaron held underwater in the basement?
Now, I'm not saying it makes sense, but I thought he squished his head.
Yeah, unless she's talking about a different one. Yeah, I thought he just smashed his head. Yeah,
that was my thinking. But yeah, it could have gone either way. Mark Nichols says, I was so excited to watch this. It feels like forever since we've had a new episode, and I was so excited to see a resolution to all of the cliffhangers they created. Yet I left feeling disappointed. So many chances to see our heroes avert danger were not shown. I love that the show is usually smart and lets us use our own imagination for things, but I would have liked to see some. Maggie and Negan had that 4th of July spectacular aimed at them, and there was nothing that showed us how they got out. Aaron getting out of the basement was never shown. How did a rope help him, and how did she get him out? I did like how Gabriel took over the sniper position without us knowing, but there were so many other times I wanted to see how people got out of these sticky situations. Overall, though, I liked the episode a lot. That ending really got me. I loved seeing Maggie and Daryl square off at the end. Since neither of them are in the comic at this point, it made sense that they give them a quick storyline and a flash forward. I also wonder if they are now matching Negan in the comic, but I was again disappointed that we didn't see a better resolution to the 8 episodes of tension created between them. One talk and he walks off. I wanted something bigger. Overall, it was a bit lacking, but I will still be sad when it is gone.
Yeah, I just can't see that being the end of his story.
I think you'll not be disappointed, Mark, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully,
where Negan is. Fingers crossed.
Barry Evett says, great episode. So sad to see the outcome for Alden, but at least we got closure. The action sequences with Maggie and Daryl were done well, if not a little difficult to watch. They did a good job of making the deaths feel necessary, but also something to be regretted. The Daryl and Connie reunion was heartwarming, and the flash forward scene at the end had me eager to see how all this plays out. An amazing start to the beginning of the end.
Hear, hear. Steve Barr says, I guess I've been watching too much Star Wars, but I think all those soldiers at the end are Daryl clones sent to retrieve the original.
That's awesome.
Oh my, I think there's a lot of women and men at Walker Stalker who would not object to a hilltop full of Daryl clones. Just saying.
That would be quite an ending. Bit of a
that
left
is a
turn
moneymaker.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a few calls. Here's Owen Griffiths.
Hi, Jason, and I'm assuming it'll be Lucy.
Yay.
This is Owen in Leeds, England, having watched episode 9 of the Walking Dead, season 11. I overall enjoyed the episodes. I found some of it like just a bit cringe-inducing. Aaron, okay, I like Aaron. I like his hands battering, whatever the hell that thing is. I like his relationship with Gracie. It's like, oh, it's sweet, yeah, it's nice, yeah. But I wanted one of them to die. Is it too much to ask? Like, one of them should be dead. I'd have accepted either. But anyway, he stood in the water. He sees the beam. Yeah. How's he going to get up there? Oh, it's exciting. Nope. Camera pans away. He's already on the fucking beam. All right. Okay. Sweet. Perfect. Great. Right. Okay. Little psycho whisperer girl turns up. She's going to help him. How's she going to help him? Oh, look, there's a rope. Oh, okay. We're going to see him. Nope. He's outside. All right. Okay. We don't need to see that. Ridiculous. Elijah. Also, I liked him so much more when he had the mask and he didn't ever say out, and he was just this like ominous, scary presence. Now it's just kind of like it's a bit mopey and wet. Yeah, whatever. Maggie's evil. Maggie is a murderer, and I am. Negan's the hero for allowing her to live. Oh. Maggie is the villain, 1000%, and evil cow. So yeah. 6 months later, Daryl and the gang turn up. Hey guys, can we come in? Little pig, let us in. Typical Maggie. Don't let him in. What do you expect? Anyway, I look forward to your show, guys. I'm assuming it's going to be when the episode's on Disney Plus. I'm rambling now. Ta-ta, bye-bye.
Oh, I love Owen. Love it. Love that accent.
You know, they never really dwelled on why Elijah was wearing a Reaper mask.
I think they were just like, he's sad. He's trauma.
Yeah, but it was a Reaper mask. Like, it made me think, is he a Reaper or?
Yeah.
Did he
he's deep undercover if he is.
Deep undercover to the point where he's killed everyone.
They never really did they? Huh.
That's funny. All right, here is Steve Brown.
Hey, Walking Dead cast, it's Steve. This is For No Other Way. And I just started it for the first time, and I had to laugh that these are like super Black Ops mercenary guys, and they're shooting fireworks, they're exploding, and that's great effect, the zombies exploding with the fireworks.
Yeah.
Ooh. And Maggie just had this knockdown, drag-out fight that was really good. Remember, why did Leah kill Pope and frame Daryl for it? Hey, that's one of your guys. Aren't you going to stop him from turning? Come on. Leah and this other guy just walked away. Ooh, Judith's sword just dropped to the bottom of the floor? Aaron, I don't know if you got this. Cold, Gabriel, very cold. Man, this guy's a badass. He's taking on all three of them by himself. He rang his bell. Where did she get that rope? What did she tie it to and how? What? Huh? I guess he's saved. Ah, what a badass line. Call me Gabriel. Dang, Maggie's cold. Oh, that's right. They left the one guy I forgot they left him in this church. Negan's just going to leave like that. Oh, I'm getting choked up. The reunion between Daryl and... Okay, so I'm guessing that the rest of this arc is going to show us how we got 6 months later. Wait to watch this one again and talk to you later.
Live Steve.
It's a nice roller coaster ride as usual.
Yeah.
Why did Leah kill Pope? And I forgot all of that.
I forgot she did it until I read a recap. I was like, oh yeah, she did it. Was it because he was going to kill? No, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I don't care. It was all just,
I don't care.
Just pointless. Okay.
Yeah.
All
He
right.
did.
Good Walking Dead.
His hat. She
podcast
killed him
decision.
because of his hat. That's why.
That's right. All right. Yeah, because she saw the back and she's like, hey, that's a cool hat. And then he turned around and then she killed him when she saw the front.
I'm so sorry for the audio. I was trying to take a drink and I choked. She saw the back of the hat and was like, what the fuck? I thought it was a beanie. He's like, nah, it's a baseball cap
You're
with
gonna
no
have
lip.
to die, buddy. All right. One more call. Here's Penny Lennox.
Oh, Penny.
Hey, it's Penny calling about the first episode of 11B and Maggie's decision to execute all of the Reapers. Negan reacted to it like it was vengeance and that he also had vengeance coming his way, which is why he left. But really, Maggie was taking his advice from earlier in the season when he said if he could go back and do things differently, he would have killed all of them. Because, of course, they came back, it came back to bite him that he let people go. And Maggie should know this because, the governor came back and the termites came back. You want to eliminate all of your enemies. She was just making the strategically wise choice, in my opinion. That's it. Bye.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but he's worried that she still considers him an enemy and will take his advice yet again and kill him. I think.
Well, we do love Penny, though.
Oh, yeah.
Penny's one of the co-hosts on the Yellow Jackets podcast.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's her first podcast, and she's a total natural, and she's awesome.
We love her.
Dwight Edward Jacobs.
That's it. Bye.
What does it mean to live for the common good? Introducing the Garrison Institute presents The Common Good, the brand new podcast from the Garrison Institute, a leading